She is 60 now, yet when she smiles, it feels like the first sunrise after the longest night. Her face carries soft lines, not of weakness, but of every silent victory she won when no one was watching. She has known storms that could have shattered mountains, but she walked through them with a heart that refused to lose its light. Her tears were real, her wounds were deep, but her courage always rose a little higher than her pain. People look at her gray hair and think she is old, but they don't see the years she spent holding others together while she was breaking inside. They don't see the prayers she whispered in empty rooms, the dreams she buried just to keep her family standing, the battles she fought quietly so no one else had to suffer. And still, after all the storms life gave her, she smiles, a smile so gentle that it softens even the hardest hearts, a smile so bright that it turns sorrow into hope, a smile so living that it feels like spring returning to a world that thought it could never bloom again. She is 60, but her spirit is younger than dawn, stronger than grief, and more beautiful than any flower life could ever grow. She is 60 now, yet she walks with the grace of someone who has learned that every wound eventually becomes wisdom. Her steps are calm, measured, peaceful, as if she carries entire seasons of healing within her. There were years when people misunderstood her, when her kindness was taken as weakness, when her silence was mistaken for surrender. But she knew better. She chose peace over proving herself, chose patience over anger, chose love over pride. And with time, life proved her right. She has lived through moments that could have hardened her, but instead of building walls, she grew gardens inside her soul. She learned that hearts don't become strong by avoiding pain, but by surviving it and staying soft anyway. Her hands may not be as strong as they once were, but they still hold tenderness with a gentleness that feels like home. Her voice may be quieter, but every word she speaks comes from a place deeper than years, from understanding, from experience, from love that has matured through fire and forgiveness. People admire her now because she carries a light that does not flicker, a calm that does not break, a smile that rises like dawn after long winter nights. But they don't know how many storms she walked through without an umbrella, how many nights she prayed just for strength to make it to the next morning. She is 60, but she is not defined by the years she has lived. She is defined by the way she still chooses kindness, patience, mercy, by the way her heart still opens like a window toward every wounded soul, by the way her smile still carries enough warmth to remind the world that spring always returns. Yet there is a quiet fire in her heart that refuses to fade. It is not the fire of anger, nor the fire of pride. It is the fire of a woman who has learned to rise. Every single time life tried to bring her down, she remembers the days when her dreams felt too heavy to hold, when her voice trembled more than her hands, when she stood alone in moments that should have broken her. But she stood anyway, not because she was fearless, but because she believed that even the smallest step forward is still a step toward light. There were years when people questioned her worth, when her efforts went unnoticed, when she gave more than she received. But she never stopped giving. She never stopped caring. She never stopped believing that kindness, even when unnoticed, still matters. Now when people see her, they see strength. grace, wisdom. But they don't see the nights. She held her own trembling hands, telling herself that she could make it through. They don't see the prayers she whispered under her breath, just to find a little more courage to face another day. She has learned that the world does not always offer love, but that does not mean she should stop offering hers. She has learned that forgiveness is not weakness, but the quiet power that frees the soul. And so at 60, she smiles a smile that carries the echo of every storm she survived, every heartbreak she outgrew, every wound she healed. With patience and prayer, her smile glows now, not because her life was easy, but because she chose to stay gentle in a world that was not always kind. She is 60, yet she stands with the beauty of a woman who turned her scars into lanterns, her tears into wisdom, and her pain into the softest, strongest version of herself. And her heart carries memories that feel like faded photographs, some warm, some painful, some still glowing with the softness of the girl she once used to be. There were days when she believed her life would bloom forever, days when laughter came easily, when love felt simple, and the world felt kind. But life taught her that even the brightest seasons must face rain, and even the strongest hearts must learn how to mend. She buried dreams so her loved ones could grow theirs, hid her own sadness so no one else would worry, and carried burdens that were never meant for her shoulders alone. But she carried them anyway, with a grace that made even hardship look delicate. She survived heartbreak that echoed for years, loss that emptied rooms, loneliness that whispered in the quiet corners of her nights. Still, she rose each day with a belief that every breath was another chance to make life gentler, softer, kinder. People see her now as a woman of strength, a woman of wisdom, a woman who radiates peace. But they don't see how many times she stood in front of a mirror and reminded herself that she was enough. They don't see the prayers she whispered for people who hurt her, the tears she wiped away before stepping into the world with a smile. Her beauty now is not in the youth she lost, but in the courage she gained, the courage to forgive, the courage to begin again, the courage to smile, even when the world thought she would break. At 60, she is not just a woman. She is a season, a story, a sunrise after storms. Her smile carries a lifetime of endurance, a lifetime of faith, a lifetime of quiet victories that no one saw, but everyone can feel. Yet her eyes still shine with a quiet glow, the kind that comes not from an easy life, but from a soul that learned how to survive with grace instead of anger. Her eyes tell stories she never put into words. They hold the softness of every moment she loved deeply, and the shadow of every moment life struck her without warning. They are eyes that have watched people leave, watched seasons change, watched dreams fall apart, yet they still choose hope over bitterness. In her youth, she believed in promises that were never kept. She trusted hearts that were never ready to hold hers. She forgave betrayals that could have shattered her, and gave chances even when her own heart begged her to walk away. But with each heartbreak, she learned something precious. That love is a gift, not a guarantee that people can leave. But strength always stays. That a woman's worth is measured by her resilience, not by who chooses to stay. She carries a kindness now that feels like shelter, a warmth that follows her like a second skin. People come to her for advice, for comfort, for peace, because her presence alone feels like a safe place to rest a tired heart. They admire her gentleness, but they don't see how many nights she cried quietly, so no one would worry. They admire her wisdom, but they don't know how many mistakes she made before learning what truly matters. They admire her calmness, but they don't see the storm she endured alone. And now, at 60, she smiles a smile that carries the courage of a woman who rebuilt herself, piece by piece, lesson by lesson, year by year. Her smile is not youthful. It is powerful. It says, "I survived what was meant to destroy me." It says, "I am still here, and I am still gentle." She is 60, and she is living proof that time can touch the skin, but never dim the light of a heart that chooses love again and again. Yet her heart still moves with a softness that the world could not steal. She has lived through seasons that turned strong people cold, but she remained warm, even when she had every reason to close her doors and guard her soul. There were years when life demanded more from her than she had to give. Years when she stayed strong only because breaking was not an option. She carried responsibilities that drained her completely, but she carried them with a silence that made her strength invisible. She knows what it feels like to love without being loved back, to stay when others leave, to hold on when her hands were shaking. But she also knows how healing it feels to finally choose herself, to breathe freely, to let go of what hurt her, to build peace in the ruins of old pain. Her kindness now is not the kindness of a naive heart. It is the kindness of someone who has suffered, learned, healed, and still chooses love anyway. A kindness shaped by loss and wisdom, by forgiveness and patience, by the understanding that everyone carries wounds the world cannot see. People admire her now because she glows differently, not with youth, but with acceptance. She does not fight storms anymore. She waits, she breathes, she watches them pass, knowing every storm eventually becomes quiet. She finds beauty in the smallest things, the softness of morning light, the touch of a warm breeze, the sound of distant laughter, the peace of her own company. She no longer rushes life. She lets life unfold, one gentle moment at a time. And now, at 60, her smile feels like a blessing. It carries truth. It carries survival. It carries hope. It blooms slowly, like spring returning after long, heavy winter nights. She is 60, but she is also timeless, a living reminder that storms may shape a woman, but they can never take away the beauty of a heart that chose to shine instead of shatter. And yet there is a fire in her eyes that reflects decades of resilience. It is not a fire of anger, but a fire of knowing that every hardship she endured only made her stronger. Every tear she shed only made her wiser, and every loss she faced only deepened her heart. She has walked alone through nights darker than she thought she could survive, and yet she learned how to keep faith, even when the world seemed to have forgotten her. She has loved fiercely, even when love returned slowly, even when hearts around her broke. She remained gentle, giving her warmth to those who needed it most. Her strength is quiet, but unyielding. It is the kind of strength that does not boast, that does not demand applause, that simply persists through the test of time. It is strength shaped by experience, by patience, by the wisdom of having seen life's harshest storms, and choosing still to bloom. She carries kindness like a soft cloak around her shoulders, protecting others, even when she feels cold inside. Her love is steady, not hurried, not conditional, but enduring, the kind of love that mends, heals, and inspires. People see her now as someone serene, someone wise, someone admirable, but they do not see the nights she whispered prayers for others, the mornings she rose early to give comfort, before even acknowledging her own pain, the countless times she forgave when forgiveness seemed impossible. And now, at 60, her smile glows like spring, not a naive bloom, but a rich, enduring flower that grows through storms, through frost, through years of trials, yet still radiates warmth, hope, and life. She is 60, yet she is timeless, a living testament to the beauty of endurance, the strength of softness, and the power of a heart that chooses to rise, to love, and to bloom again after every storm. Yet she carries a light that the years could not dim. It is the light of someone who has endured the storms life threw at her, yet still chose to be gentle, still chose to trust, still chose to love. There were decades when life felt heavy, when the weight of responsibility pressed down on her shoulders, when loneliness whispered its cold truths in the dark. Yet she kept moving forward, one step at a time, always finding the courage to breathe, to hope, to believe in the sunrise. Even when it seemed impossible, she has known loss, felt betrayal, experienced heartbreak that could have hardened her soul. But instead she learned how to forgive, how to heal, how to rise from ashes of despair, with a heart still open, with hands still ready to give, with eyes still seeking beauty, even in the shadows. Her smile now is not a mask, nor a fleeting gesture. It is the reflection of every lesson learned, every pain transformed, every tear that became wisdom. It radiates warmth that reaches those around her, bringing comfort to weary hearts, hope to those who have forgotten how to hope, and strength to those who feel weak. People admire her grace, but they do not see the nights she spent praying silently for others, the mornings she woke early to care before caring for herself, the countless ways she gave more than she received, without asking for recognition. She is 60, yet she moves like a season, gentle, steady, enduring. Her spirit is unbroken, her heart unyielding, and her smile a living proof that no storm can destroy. A soul that chooses to rise again, that no winter can erase. The warmth of a heart that refuses to stop blooming, yet her heart still beats with the rhythm of hope, the rhythm of resilience, the rhythm of someone who refused to let life harden her spirit. She has known pain that could have left scars too deep to heal, yet she wears her experiences like a crown of wisdom. Every hardship she faced taught her patience, every loss she endured taught her forgiveness, and every tear she shed taught her the power of silent strength. She has carried burdens for others that should have broken her, but she bore them anyway, with courage quiet yet unshakable, with grace that left no trace of bitterness, with love that remained pure, even when the world demanded less. Her laughter now is a gentle melody that rises above pain, reminds the world of softness, and echoes the resilience of someone who refused to give up, even when hope seemed distant. People see her beauty, her calmness, her elegance, but they do not see the nights she held herself together alone, the prayers she whispered for those who never knew, the silent victories that no one applauded, and the countless moments she chose kindness over anger, patience over frustration, and love over resentment. She is 60, but her spirit is timeless. Her smile carries the warmth of spring returning after storms. Her eyes reflect the strength of someone who has survived, and her heart holds the quiet power of a woman who has turned every hardship into the beauty of endurance. She is living proof that age is only a number, that scars can shine, that resilience can be gentle, and that a heart that continues to love can bloom again and again, like spring after every storm. Yet she walks through life with a gentleness that the world cannot take from her. Her steps are calm, yet they echo resilience, a rhythm born from decades of survival, from lessons learned through pain, loss, and love. She has known heartbreaks that could have hardened her, yet she remains soft, choosing forgiveness over resentment, choosing hope over despair, choosing love over bitterness. Her soul carries wisdom, quiet but unwavering, shaped by storms that would have broken lesser hearts. She has given endlessly, without expectation, without reward, without applause. Her kindness is subtle, yet it changes everything it touches. She has healed wounds without words, offered peace without ceremony, and loved without conditions. People see her serenity, her calm, her grace, but they do not see the nights she spent holding herself together, the tears she wiped in silence, the prayers whispered for those she never named, the sacrifices no one noticed. Her strength is quiet, but unshakable. It is the power of a woman who has endured and chosen to bloom anyway, who has learned that life cannot be perfect, but a heart can remain beautiful. And now, at 60, her smile rises, like the first spring after winter, like sunlight breaking through clouds, like hope returning to a world that had almost forgotten it. It carries warmth, it carries light, it carries life itself, and it tells everyone who sees it, she is still here, she is still gentle, and she is still unbroken. She is 60, yet she is timeless, a living proof that storms cannot destroy the heart of a woman who chooses to rise again and again. Yet every glance she casts carries the depth of decades, the weight of lessons learned, and the quiet assurance of a soul that has survived. Her hands have held both joy and sorrow, gently shaping life for others while quietly mending herself. She has known pain that could have hardened anyone, yet she remains soft, choosing compassion over anger, choosing patience over frustration, choosing love over fear. She has walked alone through storms that left shadows over the brightest days, yet she learned to trust the sunlight again. She has faced betrayals that could have shattered her, yet she forgave, healed, and opened her heart to love once more. People admire her now for her grace, her calm, her wisdom, but they do not see the nights she spent quietly praying, the mornings she rose early to care for others before herself, the tears she swallowed so no one would notice her struggle. Her laughter is a melody born from resilience, her smile a bloom that survives winter's cold, her presence a haven for anyone who needs warmth. She carries strength, not in loud words, but in gentle deeds, in quiet courage, in the unwavering love that has endured every challenge. She is 60, yet her heart beats like spring, fresh, renewed, hopeful. Her spirit is a living testament that storms may bend, but never break. A soul that chooses to rise, that chooses to shine, that chooses to keep blooming, even after the fiercest winters. She is 60, and she is eternal. A woman who teaches that strength can be gentle, that resilience can be kind, and that a heart that keeps loving can turn every storm into a season of growth. She is 60 now, yet her spirit carries the light of every morning she refused to surrender, the warmth of every hand she held, even when her own heart was weary, and the strength of every storm she faced alone, silently, bravely. Her eyes reflect decades of understanding, years of knowing that life is both fragile and fierce, beautiful and challenging. She has loved deeply, even when love was unreturned, and given endlessly, even when the world did not notice. She has faced betrayals that could have broken her, losses that left emptiness, and nights so dark that hope seemed impossible. Yet she endured, not with pride or force, but with a quiet courage that transforms wounds into wisdom, pain into strength, and tears into gentle resilience. Her kindness is unwavering, her patience remarkable, her forgiveness a quiet revolution. People see her serenity, her grace, her calm, but they do not see the nights she whispered prayers for others, the morning she rose to care before thinking of herself, the invisible victories that shaped her soul into something luminous, enduring, timeless. Her smile is not just a gesture, it is a testament, a celebration of survival, a proof that storms cannot destroy a heart that chooses to rise, that winters cannot erase the warmth of a soul that continues to love and give. She is 60, yet she is eternal, a living reminder that strength can be gentle, resilience can be kind, and love can bloom again, even after the harshest storms. Her life is a story, her smile a season, her heart a spring that follows every storm.